coming up on the Lead Ministry Podcast.
And so if I'm in one culture and it was that I figure, I need to talk about the money because it's clear we don't have a lot of money around here. And I'm always getting told because we can't afford things. Well, now I automatically, my coping mechanisms, when I come to my leader and I say, well, here's how it's going to save us money. Well, if you go to a new church and that leader has a different set of problems and pressures and money's not an issue, and you come to him with that same coping mechanism that you had from the past, you're using the wrong key for the lock.
Now your host, Josh Denhart.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Lead Ministry Podcast. I'm so pumped about today. Today is, I got to be honest with you, a revolutionary concept. It's a revolutionary topic. It's original to my good friend Vance Martin. He's kind of a major piece to the podcast. This is a really, really good one. Okay, my name is Josh Denhart. Grateful that you're here. This is the Lead Ministry Podcast. Our goal is very, very simple. We want to help you get organized. We want to help you lead with confidence. We want to help you, okay, you ready? Stop the revolving door of volunteers so that you can halt and stop burnout in your life. So that's kind of our goals. And part of that success strategy and kind of the magic secret sauce for a strategy for you to avoid burnout is for you to know how to navigate senior leadership. I bet you're not the boss. If you're listening to this podcast, I doubt you're the boss. Vance, I was never the boss. How about you?
Well, I mean, I am a boss, but not the boss, so.
Vance, you're right. You are a boss.
That's right. I'm a boss.
But at the end of the day, both of us had to, like the buck didn't stop with us. We had to lead up.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. We are currently doing that for sure.
Oh, that's right. And we were talking a number of years ago, actually, in the strategy and in the language. Now, I knew intuitively how to do this. Like I really knew that I had to speak a different type of language with the senior pastor than I did the executive pastor. They were two different personalities, and I intuitively knew that. But what you did for me, Vance, is that you do what great communicators do. You completely simplified this and you made it transferable with some very, very, very key just buckets that are extremely memorable. And you're kind of good at that, buddy.
Thanks, man. What were the two, yours was vision, and what was the other side for you?
Yeah. Vision.
You had come up with.
Oh, boy. I mean, it was vision and tactical, really.
Okay.
You've got the vision piece, you've got the tactical piece, but then you kind of put it, you're really good with words, dude. And you're kind of like this guy.
Thanks, Josh.
You are. And it's kind of like automatic. I see the wheels turn. I mean, you're a sharp cookie. The gears begin turning, and then you start spitting out this like almost like sermon points where I'm like, okay, slow down. So we're going to talk about that today. But before we do, we want to make sure everybody knows that not only can they get a piece of Vance through the Lead Ministry Podcast, that's just kind of the scratching of the surface. You work for an organization called the Slingshot Group. And Slingshot is a matchmaking service between pastors who are looking to maybe find a new job and churches who are looking for new candidates to fill a job.
Absolutely. So, we are matchmakers for the church.
Matchmakers for the church. But I got to say, though, there are a lot of people who can be matchmakers for the church, but then there's people who bring their full self to the matchmaking process. And the wisdom that you have and the experience that you have and this kind of way of communication, that's the secret sauce that you bring to a candidate or to a church to make it even better. So it's not just a matchmaking service, you're getting you. And that's a real value.
Yeah, we pastor pastors. I know that everybody's not a pastor we work with, but that's the language that we use is we pastor pastors.
Well, you're super
through this transition. Yeah. It's a blessing.
And you're super gifted at it. Well, let's jump into this topic. We're talking about leading up. Well, here we go. First things first, these are the 4 P's, the letter P, of leading up. Speaking your leader's language. It's almost, now Vance, do you speak a foreign language? I do not.
I don't. Yes, I do not speak a foreign language. I wish I did.
One of my kids, actually two of my kids, are pretty darn good at Spanish. We've been in a Spanish-speaking country before, and I was like,
right?
Whoa, you're actually
Where'd that come from?
Where'd that come from? And so that's kind of fun. I don't speak a foreign language, but if I'm going to be in a foreign country, I have to learn to speak that language. Well, our leaders speak a particular language, and we need to know what that is. Now, on the podcast, we have 3 big buckets. We like to define it. We like to develop it, take it a little bit deeper. And then, of course, we're going to give you some practicalities. What could you do this week, this month, right now, in order to make this happen? Again, this entire month is being spent on how to lead up to senior leaders. All right, here we go. Why leading up matters. Let's kind of define this. Our relationship with our senior leaders can be the key to your success. Take it away.
Yeah, so this is relationships 101, right? If you go and ask a couple that's been married for 50 years, hey, what's been the one key thing that's made you successful all of these years? What are they going to say, Josh?
Well, it's not her cooking, even though her cooking's good. It's not his handyman skills, though his handyman skill. It's communication.
It's how we communicate. And what I'm so shocked about, even after being married for 21 years, they're still learning how to communicate. And when my wife says one thing, well, how that translates in my brain into something else. This is the magic of a long-term marriage relationship, is I can begin to know, you said this, but what you mean is this. And there's that translator. Leaders speak a language too. If you don't learn the language, the leadership language of your leader, you have a higher chance of not being successful in your role, because that relationship is the most important relationship on your job at your church. In
order for you to be successful and push something forward and make ministry happen. That you're senior leader. It's really important. And the funny thing is, Vance, it's not just, let's go back to this marriage thing for a little bit. And it is quite tied to our leaders. But there are times that I know my wife well enough to know this isn't the time to bring up anything of great consequence. Now's not the time.
She can't handle it.
And in the same way, I had to learn my leaders. And through the abundance of a relationship, I would be like, okay, afternoons, not a good time. Their personality, first thing in the morning, if I have a meeting with them, I could throw out a whole bunch of good stuff. You got to know your leader.
That's right. Yeah. And how they're thinking, what motivates them.
That's really the key.
It's the inner questions, the inner dialogue. And so what this framework really is helping us understand, okay, what is the language, the leadership lens that my leader sees the world? And how you know that is by the questions that they ask you. That's a great indicator of what's important to somebody. What are the questions that they're asking? What are they concerned about?
Okay, so this leads us now to develop it. We've kind of defined it. We got to have a great relationship or a functioning relationship with our senior leaders. Yeah. You've just given this idea that there are these leadership lenses. What motivates the senior leader? Well, there's 4 P's. We're going to now develop this and take it a little bit deeper. There is the people lens. Now, Vance, just for our listeners, tell us all 4 so that we can have this construct in our mind. There's the vision side. Right. And what does that constitute?
So on the vision side, that's really your people and your progress. So people and progress, it's the stories, the people, the transformation. Progress is we're moving it forward. We've got this huge vision. And then on the tactical side, you've got your pennies minded leaders. They're good stewards. and then your process-minded leaders that think in systems and fairness in the organization.
So on one hand, we have the vision-driven leader, and they're going to be two big categories, people and progress. So let's jump in now. This people lens. Your leader may be a people person. And not a people person, but they see the world through people. These leaders are driven by stories. They're driven by life change. They're driven by impact. Talk to us.
That's right. Yeah. So they're constantly evaluating, and all of these, really, what we're looking at is an ROI, right? Okay. So how they would rate the return on investment of, and what we've said multiple times in the podcast before, of resources, which the resources that a church has is time, money, and people. Correct. Right? So is the investment of the time, money, and people that we put into this project, this ministry, this program, is the return on investment matching that resource? Well, how they measure that return on investment is this lens. So if you have a people-minded or a people-lensed leader, their return on investment goes through that filter of, is life change happening? Are people transformed by it? Is it having the spiritual and emotional impact that we want it to have? So stories are going to be your biggest, I want to say weapon, but that's not what, your biggest tool, your greatest tool in communicating to a people-minded leader, so that when you're painting this picture of why you want to do this big thing, you're always looking at it from the return on investment of how it affects the people and the transformation.
Well, the interesting thing is that in working through this and in me sitting under your leadership in my life, I have come up with a series of phrases that are going to, or questions rather, that a leader might ask that would give me the indication that they are a people-minded leader. And so here's the questions. Share with me a story. How will this reach outsiders? If they're asking that question, they're probably a people person. What's the deeper narrative? This story brings tears to my eyes. Share with me how people will grow through what you're proposing. Will we be able to share stories of change if we do this? So, Vance, would you say that those are questions or phrases that if you're kind of hearing your leader share these things, that it's like, ding, 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 they are a people-driven mindset?
Yes, absolutely. People are at the center of all of those questions. Is this going to? And if people is in that equation, in that question, there you go. Now, and two, we have to recognize, often leaders have a mix. They're not just going to be in one camp. It's going to be a mix of things, but there are going to have, this is based off of, if you think of the 5 love languages, that's a great way to think about this. It's the same concept. It's, do I feel love in other ways? Yes, absolutely. But I have a primary way that I receive and give love. Your leader is going to have the same thing. And so, those are great way indicators. Okay. So you need to answer this one question for them. Now stick with me. We're talking about leading up. I'm going into a meeting with a leader. And here's how I figured this out all on my own. I'll never forget. I was looking to change something major in our church. And all of the language that I was using, Vance, with my senior pastor, I was doing all of this language of, here's how we're going to save. Here's how this isn't going to cost us. Here's how we're going to be far better stewards. And he was looking at me and shaking his head like, who cares? Yeah, right. I don't care. That's stupid. The finances aren't an issue at all. And I was like, wow, I'm barking up the wrong tree. I am selling him a vision, but I'm speaking in Spanish. And he's like, what are you even talking about? Well, you're exactly right, because what happens is unconsciously, here's what we do is in any organization that you're a part of, we develop coping mechanisms and workarounds. And so when you are in a culture and you become conditioned to get our way, that's what we're conditioned to do that, right? And so if I'm in one culture and it was that I figure, I need to talk about the money because it's clear we don't have a lot of money around here. And I'm always getting told because we can't afford things. Well, now I automatically, my coping mechanisms, when I come to my leader and I say, well, here's how it's going to save us money. Well, if you go to a new church and that leader has a different set of problems and pressures and money's not an issue, and you come to him with that same coping mechanism that you had from the past, you're using the wrong key for the lock.
That's right. It's the wrong key.
You're not going to unlock the door.
Absolutely. And so what if your leader happens to be a people lens leader, you need to answer this question for them. I need to position my change or position my ask under the heading of who is going to impact? Who are we going to impact?
That's right. And
how is it that? How's somebody going to grow? Okay, because all of a sudden if I go, listen, this is how spiritual life change is going to happen. More people are going to be exposed to the gospel. They're just like, and they're eating it up. They're on the edge of their seat. Yes. This is what I call the edge of the seat moment.
Yes. You build a narrative. Think about it with these type of people. Come up with a fake person that says, okay, from when they pull up up into the parking lot, they're going to experience and walk through what they're going to see, what they're going to feel, what they're going to be exposed to, how they're going to be challenged, the ways that you're going to lead them to this point of decision, and then so that's leading up. But here's the kicker: it's not just to that's how you win and get approved.
Sure.
But how you earn trust is, and how when you come back for your next thing, is you continue to tell stories from when that thing happened. You come back and you say, because we did this,
proof of concept.
Here's what happened.
Yeah.
Here is Johnny. And this actually happened in Johnny's life and in this family.
At this point, your senior leader, if they're a people person and you're doing what you're just exactly saying, they are now leaning forward. They're on the edge of their seat, as opposed to when I was talking about budget and he was like looking around like, who cares? Like he was completely disengaged. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is the progress lens. Now, I'm going to tell you, you have progress in the lead up material. I changed this to performance. So progress, performance. They can be synonymous there. Here's this one. These leaders are visionaries through and through. They are hill takers. Let's take the hill. They are big picture movers. You need to answer a simple question with this leader. What makes it better? This is the driver for them. They are a visionary, just like the people. The last person was a visionary. It's a different take, though. Now, Vance, go ahead.
No, you finish your thought.
You bet. I'm just going to read these statements that are going to be an indicator as to whether or not your leader may be one of these people. And I am dead serious when I tell you these phrases 100% came out of my senior pastor's mouth. Are you ready?
Oh, I love it. I can't wait.
Okay. Take the hill. Win at all costs. Make it bigger. Make it better. Let's grow this thing, end quote. And then here was another one. Nothing can stop us. And then here was one. Are you ready for this? Here it was. Listen, they put somebody on the moon, you know.
Or my favorite, have you ever heard this one? I'm willing to do anything short of sin to make
No, I've never heard that one.
One of my leaders said that multiple times. I'm willing just about do anything short of sin.
No, that is that had to be in the South. That's a Southern colloquialism right there. Yeah. But these leaders, they're a different breed, and there's nothing wrong with this. But I have to recognize, is this who my leader is?
Often with this leader, yes, the question you need to answer is, what makes it better, because they're always wanting to be, we're moving forward, right? That's why the progress, it's got to be pushing forward. You really can't outbig this leader.
So true.
Think about what you're planning to do, and then just times 2. Now, often with this leader, here's the balance with that. They rarely are connected or tethered to reality.
No.
There is no reality or really understanding of what it takes to accomplish any of this.
Remember I said earlier, budget has, he's like, what are you talking about? This doesn't have to do with budget. He just gave me a look like, what? That's irrelevant.
So
no reality.
Here's one of the worst things you can do with this type of leader is think conservatively and small. To present to them a small vision, to present to them something that isn't over the top, you just like, you're on the B team now. Like that's not who we are as a church. We are taking the hill. We're acting, and often, man, I say this with all sincerity. They really, truly, this is not they have a lot of faith. And I've seen God do amazing things because they've said, you know what, this vision is bigger than what we can do. We're going to trust God for it. And there's something to that.
I've seen it too. And there is a non-reality. They live in their own made up world that can get really complex at times. But you need to speak a particular language with them.
This is where, and typically I would hope that in a lot of situations, there's somebody on staff, typically an executive pastor,
Bingo.
That is the counterbalance. And they know how to manage that tension and of reality and the vision. And so, but to move things forward, to get and sometimes the executive, honestly, I have seen the executive pastor be this person. Okay. It's more rare. But to be able to have that big vision and really not just the bigness of it, but it is improvement. That is at the core of, we've got to constantly stagnation and plateauing and just maintaining
is the anti-language.
It's death.
Yeah.
And so constantly with this leader, you want to be in where you'll win with them is showing them, even in the small things of, hey, here's how we're improving check-in. Here's the steps we're taking. Because that demonstrates even the small stuff. It doesn't have to be, hey, we want to do this massive big event. Here's how we're moving things forward.
Yes.
Always be communicating and casting the vision for how you're making your ministry better.
Okay. Can I share something crazy? All of a sudden, we got to keep an eye on the time here because we got a lot of good things, but I'll never forget. I said, I had this idea and I came to the senior pastor and I said, okay, here's the deal. I want you to envision 25,000 cans of food in our atrium on pallets. And as he just moved forward, he goes, tell me more. Okay. So this was big. And I explained the whole thing. And I said, I'm going to buy these super cheap. We're going to have baskets on top. People are going to donate. And then we're going to give these to, and he was like, I absolutely love this. And then he goes, and then he stopped back and I'll never forget it. He kind of like had like a shake of his head in a sense. And he goes, okay, this has to come out of your budget because if it doesn't work, it's on you, but let's do it. And we did it for like 3 years. Right. But the thing is that all of a sudden I said, I want you to envision 25,000 cans in 5 different big pallet things. And he was like, that's all you had to say is huge. And he was in. Okay. So that's this person. Therefore, I need to lead with the big 25,000. Can you envision people are going to freak out. They're going to be like, what is happening in the atrium? I didn't lead with, here's our next person, Pennies.
Yes.
Now, did I talk about pennies with the senior pastor? I said, yes, I'll cover this. If it's a flop, I'll eat it. We ended up talking about that, but I didn't lead with that.
That's exactly right. You cast the vision, you get them on the hook.
Yep.
You reel them in, and you'll know your leader. Maybe you don't even, if they don't ask you how, you might not even need to answer.
Bingo. Okay, so now we come to the pennies leader, which, by the way, like I just, everything that you've said is describing my previous church. We had an executive pastor who was the string to hold down the helium-filled balloon of the senior pastor.
Absolutely. Yes.
Or else he would have gone into the stratosphere and we'd have been like, where has he gone? Oh, he's actually dead because he's in space with no oxygen. Okay. So the pennies leader, these leaders are stewardship focused. They're not stingy. They're strategic. You need to answer this one simple question. What is the return on the investment? However, another one with this is it, I have a plan financially for this. I'm coming to you. I've already thought this through. Okay, if I can read now, this is, I mean, when you taught me this, I was like, I know exactly who these people are. And here are the questions that the pennies person, and this was John, Pastor John at my church. What will this cost to the penny? Was this already in the budget? That was always a question that he was going to ask.
Yes.
Is this a one-time expense or ongoing? Is this even necessary to do now or ever? Should we wait until the next budget cycle? I hated that question. And then, is this the wisest use of our resources? Those are 6 direct quotes from the quintessential pennies person. Who was the tether to the performance or progress senior leader? Keep going.
Yes. With this person, you can't take these questions and their inquisition as a wet blanket or them as they don't get it or care. What you will find is that if you prove they're just highly, highly responsible, they see the tithes and the offering as sacred and holy.
Okay.
And as stewards, that this is something that we've been given to steward. And so we have to give an account for every cent, every penny. Over time, what you will find is, with the pennies-minded leader, that you will prove yourself to be responsible.
Yep.
And the questions the inquisition will go down and down and down when you prove that you stay within budget, that you spend what you say you're going to say, you plan accordingly. When you do that, it's not that they don't want to spend the money. They just want to ensure that when we do release those holy funds that have been given to us, that they're used to the very best use possible. So that's what they're thinking about, because they're seeing all the pennies go out. Well, if the pennies that they give to you, if the talent that they give to you as the servant, you go and you double it, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be, Josh is somebody that we can invest in because he brings the best return on our pennies. Well, guess what you're going to start getting more of?
Pennies.
Of the pennies.
That's right. And so I had to walk in with whatever pitch that I was making, and I had to be conscious that those were some of the first questions that he was going to have. And if I was going to be successful, watch this. By the way, this particular leader, great guy, right? That's fine. But he would almost get like leadership constipation and really, really, really freaked out if we didn't cover this first.
Oh, absolutely. I can't hear you. They can't hear it.
Because he was still gummed up with, well, what's this going to cost? How are we going to do? And so I would get that out of the way and I would reassure him. Here's another quick point that I would do. This was a huge win. I would come having sacrificed something from my budget. I say, listen, I know this isn't going to cover a ton, but I have found $650 from my budget to put toward this initiative. And all of a sudden he moves forward, right? So it's
that you're willing to meet him halfway to go, I believe in this so much that I'm willing to contribute.
That's it. And that worked huge. Well, okay, we got another leader. Of course, we've talked about the people leader, the performance or progress leader. And then, of course, we've talked now on the tactical side about the pennies leader. But now this next one is the process leader. These leaders are systems thinkers. They couldn't say it better. They are fairness driven. They ask, how does this affect the whole organization? And what we must answer for them and early on is, how does this make the organization better, as well as what safeguards do you have to not to move your area forward isn't going to jam up the women's ministry? Have you thought about that? Because they're thinking about the whole thing. Critical on this one.
Yeah, you'll see this where this really comes to play. I think at every church, but I think where this is acutely felt is in a multi-site church.
Ooh.
When you have this type of leader, where often they are, either your pastor of campuses or the executive pastor, because at campuses, they are thinking about, well, if you want to change your curriculum over here, well, how does that affect them over there? And how's the systems that we've built? But it also, as at a single campus church as well, it comes back to the thing that you and I have said many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have all the pieces to the puzzle.
Quite true.
They do. This leader is always thinking about how all the pieces fit together all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And is there equity? Is it fair? Is it you'll often hear this word from them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, or this phrase, that would set a precedent.
Ooh. So true.
If we make this allowance for you, or if we change this over there, well, now we've set a precedent.
Yes.
So that's a great trigger for this type of process is, does this affect the policies and the things that we've set?
Oh, my word.
As the order? If I make an exception here, does that change it now for forever? And everybody wants this.
And I have to tell you, as you're explaining this, I actually think that my executive pastor, because he was process and pennies, but I actually think when you said this, is it going to set a precedent? I was like, bing, bing, bing. I think he was a process guy.
Yeah. Because they, in their minds, they're very strategic. Mm-hmm. And so they're the ones that are the gift to
Senior
the vision pastor. Leaders, right? That are flying off, because they take that information, they process it really quickly, and then they go, okay, this is how this affects every ministry and how we're going to accomplish this. It's A, B, C, D. And then they have it all mapped out in their head. Mm-hmm. And then you step in and you go, hey, what about this? And in their minds, they're going, oh, but that messes up from we're from S to T to how are we going to fit that in? Now you've just blown up their whole process, linear thing.
That's right. And I don't know why, it's just the way that God made me. I am quintessentially a process guy. And they actually, I gained the term, well, Josh, he is the systems guy here. I was the systems guy. That's what they called me at my church.
Yeah.
But here is the list of phrases that the process person questions or phrases. Here they come. How exactly will this work? Okay. Can you run through this again one more time? Is there anything we're missing? Help me connect the dots. How will this affect that other ministry? Walk me through how it looks again. But I think the most important one, if I could add one to my own list, is, will this set a precedent? So, okay. So at the end of the day, I think that if you're listening to this podcast, you could easily find that your leaders are predominantly one of these four kind of quadrants. They're in one of these four, and therefore it's going to be in your best interest to think about, okay, how you're going to connect your phrases as you begin to talk to them. It's Does this leader speak French? I better learn how to speak French. If this leader speaks Spanish, I better learn to speak Spanish. Well, here we go. As we close this podcast out, we're gonna kind of do it, land this plane. We're gonna apply the 4 P's to your next conversation. So, Vance, number 1 is, what is their lens? Identify your leader's primary lens. The way that you do that is just listen to this podcast again, and it's going to pop up pretty quickly as to who they are. Of course, you have trained me. You need to think, what do they celebrate the most? That's going to be a great indication. Now, is it going to be people? Is it going to be progress? Is it going to be pennies? Or is it going to be process? Any thoughts as we kind of, well, I guess we got another one. I'll ask you, Vance, anything about like identifying their primary lens? Pretty straightforward. Listen to the podcast again.
And I think don't be afraid to ask your leader too.
Interesting.
And I'm not sure I would present this framework for them, but you know, because they might take offense to it. You'd know your leader. But I think it's fair to ask them, hey, what is the thing that you value most when there's a return on investment? Mm-hmm. What is the thing that you're looking for when we do something around here?
Yeah.
Now, what they tell you might not match their actual motivation, because making sure we put our pennies in the right spot is, you know, not something that they might own up to. But I think just don't be afraid to ask them.
That's a good point. Another one, reframing your requests. You could do this pretty easily. Reframe your next request around their lens. Write out your idea or pitch through their motivational language. And I'm telling you, it only took one time within the first 6 months of me being at this church, and I was there 10 years. Yeah. I knew, don't lead with anything financial with the senior pastor, and always lead pretty upfront financial with the executive pastor. You got to figure this out.
Yes. Here's a great way to test this out. Okay. Find somebody in your organization. It's helpful if you have a bigger organization with lots of people, but maybe it's somebody that you know, maybe it's somebody in the church, but find somebody that's an analog for them. That you would go, oh, they have the same kind of wiring and mindset.
And do a practice pitch.
And just go pitch it to them.
I love that.
And say, hey, but how you do it is say, hey, I really respect your opinion and thoughts. I want to tell you about something I'm thinking about presenting. I'd love for you to poke holes into it for me. Poke holes. And
people are very willing.
The questions for you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3, pre-game their concerns. I cannot tell you how many times I won by pre-gaming their concerns. Yes. Make a pre-meeting list of their concerns. Sit down and brainstorm and go, where are they going to get hung up? What's going to make them say no? And then design solutions to pre-address their concerns. Vance, here's what I often did. I was like, they're going to get hung up right here. Therefore, I'm going to build a ramp in my pitch that pre-answers that question, that they aren't going to get stumbled. Or maybe it's not a roadblock. Maybe it's like a big pothole. And I'm like, I don't want to kadoink and have a blowout.
Right.
Build a ramp, brother.
This is not manipulation either. This is just smart and good leadership.
That's right.
Knowing what their concerns are. This is a gift for them because you're lowering their concerns. If you know what their concerns are going to be, help address them and just say, hey, I know this is going to matter to them. So solve the problem for them. And the more that you can solve those anxieties and worries, whatever that is, the better chance that you're going to get a yes.
Guaranteed. Vance, this is absolutely genius. It's stuff that I intuitively was doing, but you put some language around it. That's very helpful. So gang, grateful for Vance, grateful for all of you. Listen, learn those leadership languages, figure out who they are, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Lead Ministry Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and visit leadvolunteers.com for more episodes and resources. Thanks for listening.